Hey everybody.
Hello.
Story time with Garrett. You guys are excited. It's my first time, so I'm happy to sit here and share with you guys. So, the soundtrack of my life isn't going to start with a song. It's actually going to start with a little timeline adventure. So I'm a recent graduate of the University of Georgia. Go Dogs!
Go
Go Dogs! You know, recent alumni, so I'm pooping bricks a little bit, but that's okay. That's fine. Find a job, yeah. But I came to college, and I initially was undecided. After some time, I became pre-med, and that was my path. And so I did that for about 2 years. And then one day, I looked at my inbox, and randomly, I saw an invitation, or rather a newsletter, for Town and Gown putting on a show called Into the Woods by Stephen Sondheim. Now, I never heard about the show. I never heard about Stephen Sondheim, which would be ironic, come later. But, however, I go and I audition and I get in the show. And I participate in the show. And I'm doing that on top of my classes. And I put a whole bunch of effort into this show that really, I've not put that much effort into a lot of other stuff. Needless to say, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. And I ended up going home and I created this entire playlist of tenor songs, which were in my range too. Look at that. And I curated this whole entire playlist, and I would sing those songs over and over again. And I had no idea why I had this obsession with it, but I couldn't let it go. Soon enough after that, I changed majors. I went to music, and shortly after that, I went to theater, because I found out very shortly that the music school, unfortunately, was not for me. I found my home in the theater space. And again, the more and more I went into these classes, the more inexplicably I had this love for the songmanship. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. The craftsmanship of these songs. So listening to Into the Woods, listening to A Little Night Music, listening to other Sondheim works, Sweeney Todd, getting more and more entrenched into these fascinating works in which stories are told and arcs are told, which is much different from a lot of the songs you hear on the radio. I kept going down that path again, not knowing why I was going down it. And then I got the opportunity to go to New York on a Maymester in New York City. Now, I did take that trip, so it was about a year ago, my senior year. I was a super senior. Listen, guys, I finished. Come on. Give me a round of applause. Go Dogs, am I right? Go Dogs. Okay, yeah, let's get back on track, baby. Yeah, anyway, it's out of theater, right? But I go on this Maymester, and there's some classes before we go. Now, it's not just musical theater classes, which are, training us to prep an audition book to go up and sing and dance and act and all that fun stuff. But alongside it was a jazz Maymester. So we would go up and see shows, but we'd also go up and see some jazz shows in jazz clubs. That swanky jazz, but also some of that big, loud, blaring jazz. So you get the best of both worlds. Now the class that was offered, however, was jazz improv. Now I'd never done jazz improv before. I've done some karaoke, invited by the Narky Norton. But every time that I'm there, and I'm singing in the background, I'm on stage and I'm singing, trying to find the harmonies, I'm wrong. It's incorrect. The tone is pure because of the training, but I can't hear the chords. It's not quite right. Something about the pitch is off, almost all the time. And I'm like, okay. Well, I go to this jazz improv, and I sit there, and how it's set up, if you guys don't know, it's like a big circle is how I had it set up. It has a piano, drums, keyboard, xylophone, and a guitar, and there's a whole bunch of singers as well. And he plays an 8-bar lick, and he repeat that, and we go around the circle, and we just make up something off the top of our head. And they go around, and it gets to me, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm freaking out a little bit. So I close my eyes, and I just kind of pray a little bit, and it comes to me. It's low stakes, guys, it's low stakes, but I'm freaking out. And it comes to me, and all of a sudden, all those wrong notes that I sang during karaoke fall right into place. Every one. Those chromaticisms that I was singing where I sound a little bit off, it's right on the money. And again, we go to New York, and it's amazing to be in this jazz venue. The music's taking me away. I don't know why it's sweeping me, but it is. And I'm drawn to it. I come back from New York, I'm listening to it all the time. I have a stressful day, put on some jazz. Long car trip, throw on some jazz. You know? It's just there for me. And again, I'm drawn to it just the same way I was drawn to it in musical theater. I come back from that trip, I get the opportunity to take another class before I graduate. And that class is none other than Shakespeare, the bard himself, right? And interestingly enough, Shakespeare has its own music to it. You know, for many of us, it has iambic pentameter. I really should get that right. It is my major. But it's the dum, da dum, da dum, da dum. To be or not to be, that is the question. Yada, 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 right? And so I take the class, and I realized that back in high school, when I would listen to these rhythm and percussion melodies, these rap melodies to try to fit in, I learned that that melody was the same thing in Shakespeare. And then as I grew up and I left the Migos, and maybe I don't know about that, but the Migos and all the newer artists behind, and I went to college, I found myself being attracted to storytellers, the rhythm and percussion. So for example, Nas, Jay-Z, Tupac, Biggie, these people who were storytellers in their own right, telling their own lives that they lived and they went through. And I didn't know why I was attracted to that either. So I had these three different sections before me that I didn't know where exactly I connected to. Musical theater, I had rhythm and percussion, and I had jazz. And I had to sit back for a second, and I did this recently. And I said, where do these three things come from? And it came to me. All the time. My mom and I would take really long trips, doing things, you know. You know, parents are, get in the car, okay. And you'd go. And along these trips, when it was at night, my mom would play jazz in the car. So I'd be sleeping and hear the melody, so I know where it is. And she'd tell me stories sometimes as well. And she would tell me enthralling tales, sometimes making them up on the spot, sometimes stories from college. And that's where that storytelling aspect of it came from as well, because she was very percussive in her voice, so there's that rhythm of percussion. And then alongside of that, the musical theater, she's the one who put me in. The musical theater, I remembered back when I was really young. All three of those things that I was naturally drawn to, that I couldn't give a name to, were from my mom. And I didn't realize that. And so, I just encourage you all to take a second, like I did, and think back to what you got from your parents, from your guardians, from the people who passed things down to you that you were drawn to. You didn't know exactly why. And be appreciative of that, because I know I am. Thank you for your time.